Let me start off by saying it's an honor to be invited here tonight as the guest speaker of the 7th Annual Sheepdog Impact Assistance Heroes Gala. I am so grateful to be here, far beyond y'all can even imagine. It's an incredible, fortunate opportunity to be among such fine Americans. I would like to seize this opportunity to congratulate Sheepdog Impact Assistance on another incredible year of growth and mission accomplishment. I would also thank Sergeant Major for finally applying enough pressure to actually get me up here tonight. It's definitely been long overdue, and it's been no easy task on both of our parts. Every time I would try and start preparing what I would say tonight, I find myself lost, wondering what in the hell could I possibly tell a room full of America's most badass warriors, first responders, and citizens. So I kept putting it off, waiting on and searching for that perfect message. Well, lucky for me, it wasn't that long ago, a couple weeks ago actually, when I finally figured it out. I was talking with a friend of mine about this evening, about giving this speech that I've yet to start on. She asked me, what do you want to talk about? And I simply replied, no. Every time I try and start writing, I find myself lost, wondering what I could possibly say to some of the greatest warriors this world has ever known. She immediately followed it up with, well, you're one of them. And it instantly hit me. And I thought to myself, you're fucking right, I am. So if you don't know who I am, let me tell you who I am. I'm a Marine. I'm a Marine Scout sniper. I'm a warrior. I'm a sheepdog. I grew up in a small country town in Bandera, Texas. There wasn't much to do out there besides play sports and get in trouble. And let me tell you, I was pretty damn good at doing both. I joined the Marine Corps straight out of high school like some do. Funny story is, I actually almost enlisted in the Navy at first. Good thing I didn't make that mistake, right? Oh. Myself and a good buddy of mine were talking with some Navy recruiters, and of course, they're trying to sell us on becoming Navy SEALs and all the badass things we'd get to do around the world. So I took the ASVAB, and I started completing all the requirements to join the Navy. Well, it was that very next week, a Marine recruiter walked into my school in his dress blues. You better bet, eyes were turning, people were whispering, and his presence was known. He caught my damn attention, that's for sure. It was during my lunch period, I sat down and talked with him. And by the time I was done talking with him during those 30 minutes, I knew without a doubt in my mind, that was my calling. To not only follow in my older brother's footsteps, but to become a Marine. To be a part of something truly greater than myself. Next thing I knew, I was in good old sunny California, going through boot camp, followed up by SOI, and was soon assigned 2nd Battalion, 1st Marines Fox Company as an infantryman. I was fortunate enough to be put under great leadership. Everyone from my team leader, squad leader, to my first platoon sergeant, the infamous Tom Saunders, and on up. It was during my first deployment while in Iraq. I was talking with one of the snipers attached to our company, Christopher Marquez. It was upon speaking with Chris, I quickly realized there were greater things within me, things that I have yet to tap into. Chris took me under his wing. He began mentoring me. He began molding me into the sniper I would soon become. Every second of every day became about development and growth, about becoming the greatest warrior I could possibly be, not only for myself, but for the Marines that surrounded me. My body was beaten and broken. My mind was hardened and calloused on a daily basis. I'll forever be grateful for those tough times. You see, it's during tough times where growth occurs, where your mindset is forged to become unbeatable and unbreakable, which eventually will one day be tested. It was February 1st, 2011, Helmand Province, Afghanistan. My sniper team, Stalker 2, was tasked with locating and eliminating an unknown enemy. An unknown enemy who had been targeting coalition forces by placing improvised explosive devices along a frequently traveled patrol route. That evening after darkfall, my team stepped off on what first seemed to be another routine mission of hunting bad guys. Little did I know, not only would my life, but the lives of my fellow teammates forever changed that next morning. When we finally arrived in the AO, where we would establish our FFP, our final firing position, we quickly realized cover and concealment was little to none. The elements were against us in every way. We decided to dig in and build a hide site that would conceal my entire team. We were on the clock to get this done before first light, so we immediately dropped gear and started establishing our position. Myself and my boy Bibbs began making multiple trips approximately 100 meters away to gather veg to conceal ourselves and our position, while the rest of the team started to shovel out the hide and dispose of the trace in a nearby river. This became a very long and tedious process. We spent hours upon hours walking back and forth, gathering veg, and what I would soon find out is a minefield. Bibbs, myself, and my boy Zach, who's here tonight. I love you, bro. We're making our last trip to gather veg before finally setting into the night. I turn around, I look at the guys. I said, all right, fellas, we're done. Let's head back. Well, let me tell you, tonight is a particular honor for me because, let's face it, me being here on this stage soon became a very unlikely event. I turned around, I took a single step. Next thing I knew, I was being thrown through the air and into the ground, hard. The dark night was filled with bright flashes from the blast sporadically going off around me. Immediately realizing I had stepped on a bomb, and knowing Bibbs was right there next to me, I began calling out to him. Hearing Bibbs call back, "Where you at, Nick?" was the biggest sign of relief. Hearing him shout confirmed he was still alive. Blake was disoriented from the backblast of the explosion, and I just had my ass rocked by an IED. And let's not even forget to mention, it started raining, and there was no illume out that night. The fireball from the blast really put a damper on things, throwing off our night vision that was already well adapted to the night. These next couple of minutes became crucial to my survival. Bibbs, take your belt off. I need tourniquets now, I told him. Without hesitation, utilizing both of our belts, he began applying tourniquets to my legs. I then instructed him to gather sticks and began winding them down to ensure the belts were cinched as tight as possible. The Spartans say that any army may win while it still has its legs under it. The real test comes when all strength is fled and the men must produce victory on will alone. My will to win was now on test. The seconds felt like minutes. The minutes felt like hours. Approximately 40 minutes had gone by and there was still no medevac en route. Dustoff, the medevac team, was stuck hovering above Camp Dwyer in red air. I'm sure you all can imagine, but the last thing you want to hear when you're in a life or death situation is help can't get to you. It started to become a real struggle to stay awake. My legs felt like they were laying in fire. My upper body felt like it was submerged in the Arctic Ocean. Shock was starting to set in pretty hard. All I wanted to do was just close my eyes and go to sleep. And every time I would attempt to do just that, I would quickly catch a hand across the face. Chris was quick to give me a nice hard slap and aggressively remind me that I was still in the fight. Eventually we got word that Kazovac was en route. The dust-off pilot said fuck it and decided to take off anyways, against orders not to. They decided to take off in red air without a gunship to come get me. I'm sure they caught a lot of shit afterwards, but hey, I'm thankful for them and their selfless actions. It was that next year of my life that became the real test, though. Getting blown up, that shit was easy. I literally just had to take a single step forward. Getting back up after that step forward and realizing I was now 100 miles behind, that shit was hard. I was bound to a wheelchair, undergoing multiple surgeries and an extensive rehabilitation process. I fell into a very dark place. I lost sight of who I was as a man, as a Marine. I became addicted to all the pain pills I was on. I spent every waking minute on narcotics. I was utilizing these drugs to escape reality and escape life. I started skipping PT and OT appointments because I was simply too fucked up to get off the couch. I thought I had every excuse in the world. In reality, I didn't have a single one. The Marine Corps birthday was around the corner, and I was trying on my dress blues. I was looking at myself in the bathroom mirror, and I'll never forget this moment in life. I was trying on this very blues coat, and I couldn't get this collar to close. I remember looking in this mirror. It was instantly drowned in a sense of disappointment. It wasn't so much the fact that I was overweight and looked like one of those army cats back on the fob. No offense, fellas. But it's because I felt like I let everyone down. My teammates, who I owe everything to. If it wasn't for those guys, I wouldn't be here today on multiple occasions. For the heroic medevac team that said, fuck it, let's roll. The doctors, the surgeons, the nurses who spent countless hours performing life-saving measures to give me a second chance. My PTs, my OTs, my case manager, the Marines. I was literally saying, screw you guys. My life is worth more than yours by the actions I was taking. Actually, let me rephrase that. By the lack of actions I was taking. All of these people have done everything in their power to give me a second chance at life, and I was being ungrateful and messing it up. It was in this very moment I took every pill I had and I threw it in the trash. I went to my kitchen and I cleaned it out. The fridge, the freezer, all the junk in the cabinets and in the pantry. That very next morning at 0500, I was the first one in the gym. That same night, I was the last one to leave. Being uncomfortable and miserable became a way of life again for me. What I realized that I started to settle. I started to settle in that comfort. Rather than accept the pain and grow through the hard times, I started to accept where I was at in life. Let me tell you something. Life can suck. Life can be tough. But it's those tough times that separate those who give up and those who keep going. Tough times show what heart really is inside. Tough times show what courage really is inside. It's in our toughest moments in life that we see who people really are. Who are you? You don't know how strong you are until being strong is the only choice you have. Whatever you're going through, you can get through it. You will get through it. And it will make you stronger. It will make you wiser. And it will make you better. That is what mentally tough people do. They don't allow anything to break them. They force hard times to make them. They learn lessons. They see the blessings. But most importantly, they keep moving forward. If you ask me, what is the most important thing one can do in overcoming anything? In one word, I'll tell you. Purpose. If you know your purpose, if you know why you do what you do, if you know why you must fight, you will fight. You will fight for your purpose. You will fight to the brethren for your left and right. You will fight for your family, for your friends. You'll fight for your legacy. You will fight because you know you don't want future generations to give up because you did. You want them to keep going because you did. One day, I walked into the Marine Corps Annex, and Master Sergeant Gomez said, "Hey, Perales, there's this group, Sheepdog Impact Assistance. They're looking for a few guys to do a Spartan race in December. I'm in, let's do it." Wait, what the hell is a Spartan race? Oh, by the way, Sebastian wants to do it too. Sign him up. Well, eventually, I found out this was a 12-plus mile adventure race. It was approximately 1 week out, and I started thinking, I haven't ran, yet alone walked anything over half a mile since being injured. I should probably test this out. I went out to the track to see how many miles I could run in an hour. Let me tell you what, I was 1 mile in, and that mile sucked. That shit was hard and miserable. I stopped after that first mile and went back to my truck. And while I was walking back to my truck, I remember thinking to myself, I'm gonna have to go to a dark ass place to do 11 plus more miles because quitting simply isn't an option. Well, guess what? I never had to go to that dark place to complete those 11 plus miles that day. We were surrounded by fellow Marines and police officers who wanted to uplift us and help us grow through the things we were going through. The camaraderie, the brotherhood, the teamwork to accomplish the mission gave us a sense of belonging again. The impact Lance and the others left on me this day will forever hold a special place in my heart. This day, with these warriors, reignited a flame I once let burn out. That race quickly became the first of many. I soon found myself anywhere from places like Sweden, swimming island to island alongside Sebastian, to standing on top of the highest freestanding mountain in the world, Mount Kilimanjaro. It's because of guys like Lance and Sheepdog that warriors like myself and many others continue to fight for our purpose, to fight for our why. Now today is an important day because you all have a decision to make. As y'all sit there and I stand up here in this very room, surrounded by some of America's finest, surrounded by the men and women who have and are willing to sacrifice everything for a greater purpose, right now in this very moment, we have more work to do. Our mission is not accomplished. In fact, I don't know if it ever will be. As long as there are men and women willing to sacrifice everything, we too would be called to action. Let me ask you this. Are you gonna embrace the unique gifts that you have been given? Or are you gonna waste another day, another moment, another breath? Are you gonna honor those that came before you? Those that protect this world for you to experience? Or are you gonna do them a disservice and live with an average mindset that holds you back? And even worse, holds everyone else around you back. We have a duty and we have an obligation to get out of our pitiful selves and to put our empathy into one another. We must continue to fight for one another. We must breathe and bleed for each other. We must continue to take care of our own. Now, if you're wondering what that perfect message is that I was searching for all along, that was really with me, it was in that very moment when Tamara said, "You are one of them," I realized I was wasting my time trying to figure out new things to say to old people, when really I should be saying old things to to new people. Well, I see a lot of new faces here tonight. And I have the same old message for you. We must take care of our own. We are one team. This is one fight. No man is ever left behind. Thank you for your time.